Okay, so what is a healthy relationship and what is not? Instead of spending a lot of time talking about what a healthy relationship isn't, um, which is, there's a lot of examples, I'd like to kind of approach it from what it is. Because if you define what it is, then it's easier to give yourself a foundation of looking at how it compares to what you have. And a lot of that is already something you probably can already feel, but you've been ignoring for months or years. So a healthy relationship is really based upon being able to be your authentic self as often as possible, as much as you even know what your authentic self is. Um, a lot of times it's said that we're just walking each other home, and you want to be able to do that in a relationship. You want to be able to feel like you're finding yourself, which is not a final destination because you're a living organism, and you need to allow yourself the flexibility of being able to change. And your partner needs to understand that as well. And so when you both have a good foundation of understanding that you're changing, which if you think about it is very different from the usual flawed premise of a relationship, which is, oh God, I like this and that about you and this is perfect, and just freeze, don't change, hold it, keep it right there. And let's get married thinking that, yeah, you hear it's going to change, but you're really hoping it doesn't. And so you're kind of lying to yourself a little bit there. So getting back to a healthy relationship is understanding the foundation of it. And I like to think that any quality relationship is based upon the quality of the friendship within it. And think about friendship. Friendship has this energy about it where there's an open door. You're as guests in each other's lives. You're guests. And so when you're a guest in someone's life or in somebody's house, you watch what you say. You're considerate and thoughtful. You don't just rudely say things. Um, but besides that, the main thing is understanding, providing an atmosphere for each other that allows you to be flexible enough to change. And if at some point those changes become something you don't prefer anymore, not beating each other up and judging and invalidating each other because you are losing what you fell in love with. And that's a big deal. So often what we do when we change in a relationship is we get irritated and we fight and fuss about, you changed and you're not the person I married or the person that I fell in love with. And that tells you right there that you had a flawed premise about what that relationship was supposed to be for you and to you. You're sharing the journey in life, and you have to be able to keep that in mind as you're going and allow each other to change, because real love is not something that is meant to be siphoning off each other. Most relationships are like, you scratch my psychosis, I'll scratch yours. You try to cater to me as much as possible, and I'll try to cater to you as much as possible. And hopefully we can keep each other happy and be dependent on each other. And so that sets yourself up pretty strongly for, if that person doesn't keep up their end of the bargain, you can be very resentful and lose your sense of happiness because you've built it on the wrong responsibility of someone else's shoulders. And we do that to each other. So a healthy relationship is also about emotional intimacy. And maybe some guys don't want to hear that. A lot of women tend to beat men up for it. But just to give you a general overview, women are in the process of learning to unconditionally love themselves, and men are in the process of learning to reconnect with their emotions. Men are emotional. They've just been kind of trained out of it and away from it, or shoved it down so far, because it doesn't mean they're masculine if they express their emotions too much. Um, that's a big subject and all the variations of how they've done that. But the point is that we're in the process of undoing those things. So in an ideal healthy relationship, I look at it like there's old software for relationships, which is how the majority of the population has been conducting them. And then there's new software, which is the upgraded version of how we're really so supposed to be properly functioning and having our relationships with one another, what our relationships are really supposed to serve with each other. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's like all happy and wonderful and all the time, because there can be things that are challenging for you emotionally. But the object when you have emotional challenges is not to externalize them and blame and distract yourself and blame the other person or try to find an outside circumstance to change for you to feel better, but rather to say, wow, look at what I'm feeling, and maybe we can help each other process it together. But make no mistake, your feelings belong to you, their feelings belong to them. But you can talk about them and provide an environment for each other where you feel safe to share. You feel safe to share. And that gets into kind of like honesty can be very challenging sometimes, but the fact is, no one owes you honesty. Nobody owes you honesty. In a relationship, there's a little bit of a responsibility to make a person feel comfortable to share with you because you sympathize with the challenge of being honest with each other. So the idea is to create an environment that makes you both feel comfortable sharing how you really feel so you can process your feelings that belong to you in your own terms, in your own way. And that's what friends do. That's what intimacy does. Um, if you're not able to be emotionally intimate with someone, then it's like you're not even there. You know, to have sex with someone, to eat with someone, to talk about your business problems and your family problems and things like that is such a surfacey way of functioning. You can almost do that with anybody, you know, give or take a friend, whatever. But the deeper type of relationship that we're talking about here is based on depth. It's based upon presence. It's based upon really being present in the relationship, showing up to play the game, you know, showing up to be involved, to say, hey, I don't know what's here, but I'd like to sift through it with you. And understanding that there isn't an obligation to solve your feelings or for you to solve mine, but to hold each other's hand while we look at it together, and to sympathize and have compassion while we process our own internal meanings that we've chosen to give things. So I took a little longer with this video because it is a bigger subject. It's an important subject because it's the core of what's important to most of us is a good quality, healthy relationship. I could have talked a long time about what it's not, what a healthy relationship is not, or what's an unhealthy relationship. And I could do another video on that, but I really wanted to spend more time focusing on what it is, because I think it serves us better to focus on what it is. Because we're experts at the things we don't like. We're experts at bitching and complaining about the things that we don't want, and we spend very little time really being able to break down things that make it work, things that make it right, things that make it productive. So the goal isn't to be an expert at the things you don't want. It's to be an expert at what makes it work, what feels good to you. So I hope that helped. If you have any more specific questions about a healthy relationship, or you felt like I hit a nerve with something you wanted me to expand upon a little bit more, feel free to send me a question and a message. I would love to share more with you. So make sure you share the video with anybody that you think it could help, and don't forget to like the page in the group. Thank you.